Well, hello everybody, and a happy welcome to News from the Pews. And we are literally in the pews, aren't we, Cheryl?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a joy. And we have news to share.
We do.
News from the pews, literally on this one, my friends. And we are just overjoyed to have you on this edition of News from the Pews. Everybody probably remembers that it was just, by the time this shows up, it would be, I guess, last weekend that you spoke at all the masses. And Cheryl always sits in the very first pew at the 5 o'clock mass. And when you become a nun, I'm going to be sad when I look out there and you're not in your first pew. But I will then know that you are praying for us from your... We want to talk, we have a lot of ground to cover. We want to talk about your story, about how God has called you and prepared you for this, about the religious order you're going to be entering, about the Labouré Society. What is it? You know, how can folks be involved with helping to get you to be able to say yes to your vocation and all this, and our chapel. Let's start with our chapel. Can we? Because our chapel is such a grace, and you have had some incredible experiences in our Adoration Chapel.
Absolutely. I thank God for your Adoration Chapel, and I know that it is birthing vocations and rescuing vocations, and I was so thrilled when I first came to the parish, and I was like, oh, I want to lecture, and I want to lead the rosary, and you're like, would you like to adore? I'm like, absolutely. and you gave me the hour of divine mercy, and I just thought, I couldn't have been more blessed.
The 3 o'clock hour.
The 3 o'clock hour, and I was just like,
on Saturday.
Yes, on Saturday. Yes, yeah. It is such
so cool.
a blessing.
It's like a cave of peace. I don't know how to describe our chapel other than just to go away from the world for a while with Jesus. That's what it's about, and to hear his voice and just look at him face to face and just pass time in silence and in peace. It's heavenly. And as you note, it is birthing vocations. It helped to birth your vocation.
Yes.
We also, of course, know about Antonio, and Antonio spent many a holy hour in that chapel, and Sister Maureen, who is on her journey as well at the Oldenburg convent monastery in Oldenburg, Indiana. She lived here for about a year and spent quite a while in there as well, and always found that to be, she loves adoration, and then our deacon candidate as well. I mean, our chapel is just birthing vocations, and to married life too. There was one time where this gentleman, he said, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, he said, Father, would you show up in the chapel at such and such a time? He said, that's my hour, and I want to propose to my girlfriend. And there, what better place? Of course, you can't say, he knew that she couldn't say no with Jesus right there,
Right.
But it was just like, oh my gosh, it is producing vocations, and it's producing saints, and I think that is the purpose of every Adoration Chapel. How could we not become holier in the presence of our Lord? Cheryl, let's talk a little bit about how you came to sense a vocation to religious life. And maybe you could talk a little bit about your order that you've been called to, and when does it start? So many questions.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, the very first time I was called, I was 7 years old, and it was shortly after I made my first Holy Communion. And here's a picture in my vocation story, which are available in the back of both churches. And this is
Look at that.
That's me in my first Holy Communion.
Wow.
Yeah, and I still have the dress, the veil, and the purse.
Oh my heavens.
And the rosary.
And the rosary around
and
your
the
hand.
scapula. Yeah. And but the first time Jesus called me, I was 7 years old, and I made my first Holy Communion at St. Paul's in Fenton, Missouri.
Was it at the Mass that you felt called, or was it after you received Jesus? Wow.
Yeah, it was in an all-school Mass. I was blessed to be raised Irish Catholic in Fenton, Missouri, and I was blessed to go to Catholic grade school. And that was during the era when you we had all school mass every single day. And then if I went with my mom to Holy Mass on Saturday morning, and then my family went on Sunday, I got to go to be with Jesus 7 days a week, and it was just, oh my gosh, that was the best, that was the best. And so Jesus called me. I was in an all-school mass shortly after receiving the Holy Communion, and I couldn't stop sobbing. And my principal pulled me out of church and said, what's wrong? And I said, I can't get close enough to Jesus, and I can't become a priest. I don't know how to get closer to Jesus. And we had no religious sisters in our Catholic school, so I had no idea that there were things like nuns and sisters. And I didn't know what to do with that. And my vocation wasn't encouraged. I was instead encouraged to go to a public high school where they had an international baccalaureate program, and I could earn credits and get a lot of college out of the way. And I agreed because I was a competitive gymnast, and I wanted to save my parents money because my training and needs were really expensive. So when I graduated from grade school, after 8th grade, I went into public high school, and I entered some of the darkest days of my life. I went from receiving Jesus 7 days a week to almost never. And we had a lot of problems in my family, and I felt really unsafe, and I was abused, and it was just a really dark, dark time. And when I get upset, I lose my appetite, and I would lose my appetite, and I would exercise all the time to keep myself calm. And of course, I ended up in an eating disorder unit.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I almost died from anorexia.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was. I was a 54-pound anorexic with a tube in my nose, and so that's one of the miracles of my life, is that God rescued me from that. And the wonderful thing is, so, God works through everything. So here I am, I'm in this Catholic hospital, being treated for anorexia. I was put in on Christmas Day, 1986, and I immediately felt safe for the first time in years. And I know that that's because it was a Catholic hospital, and Jesus was in the chapel right beneath us. And I totally believe that. And when I was in this unit, a nun would visit us, and she would bring us Jesus videos, and she would bring us Jesus joy. And whenever I heard her squeaky shoes on the podium and her TV VCR card, I was like, yes, Sister Video is coming, and I'm going to feel just joy. And at the time, I didn't know what she had, but I knew I wanted that. And the saddest thing was when I left there, all that was gone. I went back into the darkness. Nothing in my family changed, and so I kept going in and out of treatment because that was the only place I felt safe. But then God kept me going, and I went to St. Louis University for my undergrad, and I lived there, and I was finally able to give up anorexia because I could feel safe. And here I am, I could go in to see Jesus 24/7, on at this Catholic university. So I did my undergrad there, and when I graduated, I felt totally lost, and I was working on another degree at another Catholic college. And as I'm driving home after finals, I just felt like it was the Holy Spirit that led me. And I went to this adoration chapel, which I'd never gone to, and I'd never gone to an adoration chapel in my life. And I go in, and I kneel, and I pray to God, God, I want to know your will. I want to do what you want me to do. I'm so lost. I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden this voice goes, do you pray to know God's will? And I go, Jesus? And this little voice goes, no, it's Sister Mary Guadalupe. Have you ever thought about being a nun? And I said, yes. And so finally everything made sense. So I was 20 years old, and I shared all this information. I ran home to my parents, and I said, guess what? I'm going to become a nun. and I go, are you shocked? And they go, no, you're the most religious person in our entire family. They called my bedroom the shrine, because anytime somebody would give me something holy, I would go into a shrine in my room. And so I discerned, and I actually applied to an order in Indiana, but I was rejected. They said, we think you should date. And again, that just kind of led me into a valley of darkness. Because I just knew that I was supposed to be with Jesus. But now I'm really glad, because that order would not have been a good fit for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad.
You know the old saying, if it doesn't open, it's not your door.
It isn't.
God has a way of just like, he'll close the door, and we at first don't like it, but it's like, okay, no, I have something better.
And he did.
He totally did.
And he used those 25 years of extra formation to get me to the doorstep of the Poor Clare Palatine Nuns in
Cleveland, Ohio, everybody. Cleveland, Ohio.
Come and visit. Once I'm in there, I'll be their extern nun. So the extern nun, we're a cloistered order with a special ministry to pray for infertile couples and children that are really sick. And when I'm not in the cloister, I'll be the one that answers the door, answers the phone, takes sisters to the doctor, visits benefactors, does what ever needs to be done. I totally thought that when God said, I thought it was God saying no that first time when I applied, they go, no, we're going to date, But God kept calling me. He kept calling. And then finally at 50, I'm like, okay, Jesus, show me how. And so I ended up, this time, being drawn to the cloistered orders.
Are you really 50?
I am 51.
You don't look it.
Thank you.
People could not believe that. After last weekend, they could not believe it.
I'm 51.
She said you look like you're 30.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. Our order, we pray every day for fervent young women to come to our order. And
can we see what the habits look like? Maybe we could zoom in on this. Look at those habits.
Yeah, all you'll see is
so you'll
my
be
face.
Wearing one of those?
Yep, all you'll see is my face. And today I'm wearing my penguin earrings, which
isn't that beautiful?
because they remind me, because they look like penguins.
Look at those.
They're beautiful penguins.
Wow.
Yeah, we're totally fully, and inside the cloister, we're barefoot.
What barefoot?
Yeah.
Discalced, you might say.
Yeah, we are Poor Clares. We take one of those.
So does that mean even when you're walking around the grounds, you don't have shoes?
No, we have shoes on for going out in the garden, and and I'm not allowed to go shoeless for the first 6 months.
People might be curious about why discalced, why shoeless in the cloister. What's the reason?
Well, it's a sign of our poverty. We take one of the most austere vows of poverty, and I think that's one of the reasons God called me to this, because I have been out in the world and I've been around a lot of not poverty.
Yeah.
And it just felt awful. And I just.
Do you think it has anything also to do with removing that barrier between the human and the earth? You know, that there's this connection with. Like the word humility comes from the word dust, and this earth, and to be so humble that we are and just directly connected. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Yeah,
I've heard things like that. There's some book about it. But anyway, I think it's interesting.
I think too, it's because we're on holy ground.
Yes.
And I think about.
That's the better way to say it.
Oh well, they're all like. And just to be, because I'll be giving up everything, like our order, I love it. And like how I said, God has formed me to be called to this order. One of the ways I found out about this vocation of extern, which is a vocation within a vocation, I love mysteries. And I was reading a new mystery series, the Sister Agatha mystery series, and she's an extern nun for a cloistered order. And as I was discerning, I was like, Lord, does this vocation really exist? So I Googled Poor Clare, extern, and the only ones that came up near me were in Cleveland. So I was like, even though on their website it said, we only are looking for women 18 to 30, I was like, Jesus, I'm asking. I'm going to let them know I'm here. And they're like, and you want to be an extern nun? And then I told them about everything. I said, I was like, I told them about all my sins in my life. I'm like, do you still want me? And they're like, yes, we still want you. And then I was like, no, I got this student debt, but I'm working with the Library Society. And they're like, that's wonderful. Library just called us a couple of weeks ago and asked if we had any vocations blocked by student debt. And they're just all these signs.
So let's transition.
Yeah.
Library Society. We are familiar a little bit at our parishes with them because a couple of years ago we had a young woman named Maggie Verheily. She was looking to become a Sister of Life, had that vocation.
Oh, yes.
And she spoke at all the masses, she spoke at youth group, and she's a good friend of Billy Cross, who was working here at the time. Anyway, she was part of the Library Society. So this is a group of men and women who are trying to say yes to their vocation of priesthood or religious life, but have student debt. So they can't quite say yet yes, because they're being held back by this student debt, which religious orders and dioceses are not always able to take on and pay off themselves. So pick up from where I just left off. This is your class here?
This is my class,
year,
yeah.
is that right?
This is our Sweet 16 of Library
Isn't that
Vocations.
beautiful? Look at them.
I love them. These are brothers and sisters.
Do you ever see each other?
Oh, definitely.
really?
We have each, about once or twice a month, we have a Tuesday night Zoom class where we all come together and let
Who's
each other
the
know.
class clown?
Oh my gosh. We've got some Philip Neri, one of those.
Do you really?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Paul McDonald looks like one.
He actually is. It is so funny. When I met him, I go, are you military? Because he stands, you know. He goes, no, I was an actor. And I go, for what? He goes, well, they usually typecast me as a cop. And when you meet him, you're just like, oh my gosh.
Isn't that wild? I mean, these are people from every walk of life.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Mary Woods going?
Mary Woods is going to the Monastic Sisters of Bethlehem, the Assumption of the Virgin, in St. Bruno.
St. Bruno?
Yeah, I had to like try to read that because it's so Oh, you know what? We have a class in map, and so in each of the brochures, now this is my second library class, but in each new brochure it shows where we're going, where we came from, and where we're going. So Missouri on the map is highlighted for me, and then it says I'm going to the Fort Collatines in Cleveland. It's like, hers were so large, they couldn't fit where it's going.
Jake Smith is looking to become a diocesan priest in Denver, the Archdiocese of Denver.
But he was in medical school, and so Jesus called him, and it's like for me, during that time when they said, oh, go and date, I was like, oh my gosh, Jesus, what am I supposed to do with my life? And so I always thought I'd probably become a doctor, so I got my doctorate in optometry, but every time I was on my way to clinic, all I could think was, every time I'd see a Catholic church, I'm like, Jesus, that's where I want to go.
You have a degree in optometry?
Yeah.
Look at that.
So that's what I was doing.
Is that why you wear glasses?
I wear spectacles because I really like them, and my prescription is so high. That's one of the reasons I sit in the front pew, because I'm short, and I'm highly myopic, and I don't use Jesus.
What's myopic?
Myopic is nearsighted.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm very, very nearsighted, and I call them spectacles because they haven't been made out of glass for decades. Yeah. So don't clean them with Kleenex or paper towels. They're
Don't
plastic.
paper towels, definitely
that's
not.
horrible.
But Kleenex are so soft.
Oh, no. They still contain wood. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Use the lens cloth they came with, or a white T-shirt.
No kidding.
Or a baby
You learn
bottle.
something new every time on News from the Pews.
Yeah. So that's how I got my big debt, was optometry.
Was optometry.
Yeah.
And how long were you an optometrist?
Well, I graduated in 2005, but I always tell patients I've been in the field since 2001, because that was when, I kind of started my training, and but it wasn't in the cards for me to be like one of these high-rolling, successful optometrists. I was miserable. And every day when I would be on my way to clinic, if I saw a Catholic church, I was like, Jesus, that's where I want to be. I just want to be inside there with you, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I also have a heart for teaching, so I taught for 20 plus years, and But he uses all of
He
our
uses
gifts.
everything.
He
God,
uses
he has brought
everything.
you on this journey for a reason.
Well, I'm so grateful that I wasn't able to pay off my debt of my optometry school debt as an optometrist because I get to pay it off by evangelizing, by
Yes.
sharing Jesus and meeting all these wonderful people.
Yeah.
And they train us in 6-month classes. So we go up to Minneapolis to their headquarters, and they train us in 4 days how to.
Yeah. You know what else is special about the Library Society, I find? Is that it helps other people to have a part to play in the vocation of another. You know, in other words, it's good for me to be zealous not only about my vocation, but about your vocation. I shouldn't just care about my vocation. I mean, to help other people say yes.
Well, that's what I love about this. I couldn't ask for money for myself,
Yeah.
but I can ask for money
For a
for
group.
my fellow. You see, like, so we fundraise as a class. Our collective debt this class is $720,000. We're about 52% of the way there, and yes, we each have our own individual debt that we have to get past. And
So everybody's collectively is 720.
yes,
Got it.
yeah, but donations come in honor of each individual aspirant, and part of that's wonderful because then they can track where did this generosity come from. And so while it's given in my honor, so if you go on the website, you pick my name, and it all goes into a big pool. And so yes, we have to individually raise to cover our debt. But here's the wonderful thing. Once each of our individual debt is mitigated, we keep fundraising because we're committed for 6 months. And so my goal is for my debt to be obliterated and then for me to raise as much money as possible to help my classmates, because the first class I was in, God blessed me to raise $82,000, but I was awarded almost $92,000 because my classmates who had been rescued kept fundraising, and so I got $10,000 more than I was able to raise on my own. And one of the things too that me being an older vocation, they're going to use my retirement plan to pay off part of my debt, and so I'll be in formation for 9 years, and at age 60, they can use my retirement without any penalties and toss it on the rest of my debt.
Nice. That is nice.
And part of my vocation story I want to share is when I found the Port Clare College nuns in Cleveland, I had just met with the Mother Abbess and the novice mistress, and I went in to be with Jesus, and I knelt alone before the Blessed Sacrament. We have an adoration chapel that's open from like 6 in the morning until 8 p.m. And I was kneeling before him and I said, Jesus, I pray to want what you want. Are you calling me to be this community's extern nun? And immediately the extern's phone rang and the extern's doorbell rang. And as an
That's
extern
pretty
nun,
clear sign.
oh my gosh, I felt total God bumps all over me, and I was like, yes, Jesus, yes, I can't wait to be with you, you know. And so, I mean, that was, I mean, he has called me so profoundly that, you know.
He has a way.
Yes, and I love it, and every single thing in my life has led to this order, and we only take a shower once a week. Don't worry, I don't.
Oh my!
But because that's part of our poverty. So 6 days a week we do cell baths. So with a bucket and soap, and then 1 day a week we get a real shower with plumbing. And now God actually prepared me for this because I've been a long distance runner for decades. And when I would go on a gross trail run, I would go back to my car and I would spritz. I would totally, you know, you get a jug of water and I would do a bath, you know, not naked, and, you know, but I'd be able to, you know, I was like, so when sister showed me a bucket and said, this is how you wash in your cell, I was like, I got this. I've been doing this for decades.
Now that is what I call intense.
Yes, yeah. And now it's warm water. It's not cold. And it's
Well, that's a little plush. It's a little plush, you know.
But like when I say that God has formed me for this,
Yes. Now, best case scenario, either case scenario, when would you become a nun? When would you actually enter Cleveland, the order in Cleveland? Does it depend on how much debt, or what does that look like, and what's your plan? What do you think the plan is?
This is the plan. Okay, December 31st, this class ends, so we raise as much money as we can, and of course, it's okay for donations to keep rolling in those first couple weeks of January. That's totally okay, but we fundraise for this class through December 31st.
Okay.
And then we have a couple weeks to wait for our awards to be presented, and so my sisters are anticipating me to be. Everybody's anticipating me to be rescued. This class.
The vocation to be rescued.
Yeah,
Yes.
and hopefully as many of my brothers and sisters will be rescued too. And so that being the case, then I should be able to enter the monastery of the Blessed Sacrament in Cleveland in February. So I'll become a postulant, and I'll get the white veil, and that'll take about a year to 2 years to do that, and then you become a novice for a year to 2 years, and then you take temporary vows and then perpetual vows. The whole process takes 9 years, so hopefully when I'm 60, I'll be taking my final vows.
Wow.
Yes, and pray for, and I, at 51, the next youngest sister is 67. So I'm going to be the baby, and that was another thing too. I pray to God always for a big sister, and you can't get one if you already exist, but now he's giving me 9. I got 9 big sisters, and there's 2 other women that want to say yes, but they're blocked by needing visas. Their names are Ryan and Elizabeth, so if everybody could pray for them. They'll be the babies at 42. So I feel like we're coming in and we're like this bridge. I'm hoping that, they wanted people in their 30s and in their teens, but we have such an older order. We're going to be the bridge bringing, hopefully, even younger people. So my sisters are hoping for me to move in February. Now I go about every 8 weeks for a visit. I'm going to go over Thanksgiving. I'm going to spend Thanksgiving with them. And, the goal is for all of us to be rescued, and pending mitigation, I'll be flown up to La Brea in January, and I'll be an alumni trainer to help get the next class.
The next group going.
Yeah, they've already rescued over 400 vocations.
Isn't that wild?
It's
Wow,
it's
that
wonderful.
is powerful.
And people wonder, why is it La Brea? Well, St. Catherine La Brea was given the miraculous medal.
Wearing one as well.
Oh my gosh, I've got a few of them. I'm packing a few of them already. And so the founder, he had come across a young woman who he had asked her, if you could do anything, what would you do? And she's like, I would be a nun. And he's like, why are you a nun? She goes, I have student debt. And he said, if somebody wiped away that student debt, would you become a nun? And she goes, in a heartbeat. And he noticed that she was wearing a miraculous medal. So he worked to gather funds. Wow. And then he met another woman wearing a miraculous medal who was blocked. And that was the start of the La Brea Society.
That was the start of it.
It's
amazing.
Yeah, La Brea is an answer to so many prayers, one to unblock my vocation, to rescue me, but not just for me. We need more priests and religious in the world, and
student debt is more and more of a reality.
It's awful.
It's insane.
It's awful, and I've taught for years, and I feel like I got off pretty much scot-free with, having, like my debt nowadays would only get you a bachelor's. But I was able to get undergrad degrees and a doctorate with it.
Yeah.
But nowadays,
yeah, it's real.
Yeah, and, but I thank God, and,
Wow.
And he keeps working so many miracles, because you said about the Adoration Chapel bringing miracles. I went in there one of the first times I was signed up to pray, and I said, and I always bring my La Brea prayer journal. So if you ever, ask for prayers that goes in here, and I bring it every week to Jesus. And I bring our class photo and I say, Jesus, help us. We need help. And I came home and from one of the adoration times, and I had this text that said, I just wanted you to know that if you pray for my wife and I at every mass for the rest of your life, I'm giving you a donation of $20,000. And I just, and there's an anonymous donor that gave $60,000. I never meet this person. I mean, and so donations have ranged from $1 to $60,000, and I just,
amazing.
I mean, I'm so grateful. I mean, the miracles that come about, and also when you become a benefactor, I enrolled in one of my 54-day miraculous rosary novenas. I firmly believe that the rosary has saved me, and so all benefactors, and also I'll be doing a 54-day rosary novena for St. Vincent de Paul and St. Joseph's parishes. That'll start up once I finish my current ones.
Please do.
Yeah, and
don't forget about us when you go become
oh my gosh, no way! I totally can't. When the vocation poster comes up annually, I'd love for it to say, Cheryl,
you're
Joseph Shelbyville.
I know the vocation director. We can get it done. We could get that done. We have a poster every year of our seminarians, and then we have another poster of our religious information, and that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're going on there.
Awesome.
You're going on there. So anyway, Cheryl, thank you for being on here, and thank you for your yes to the Lord, and thank you for sharing, and also for allowing us to be a part of your vocation and your ability to say yes to our Lord.
Well, thank you.
It's powerful.
I can't thank you all enough. You have embraced me so much, and I came here because of Kathy Lampton. I was here to support her for her first Mass here, and I came, and I was blown away by the presence of Jesus that I had to immediately become a parishioner. I was just overwhelmed by the Eucharistic love, and I told you before, I said, you know what? If I didn't have a vocation, I would be moving to Shelbyville and living in your adoration chapel. But I have a vocation.
Oh, well, if it doesn't work out.
Okay.
Well, it will work out. Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And did we miss anything?
I think we got.
And you can go on to, we'll put a link on the thing here, and you can link onto the Labouré Society and your profile.
Yes, we're taking a virtual class video.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably end up in one of the flock notes, but it's.
Yeah, it will.
Oh, man. We'll give it
we know the flock note will. Everybody, God bless you. Take care. We'll see you next time on News from the Pews.
Thank you.